Good afternoon, everyone. To start with, I request Dr. Padmaja, President, to say 2 words.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome everyone to this wonderful session. I'm very, very happy the way things are going. The workshop is moving. Everyone seems to be so interested, and the feedback that we are getting. Today is the 4th one. They don't want to miss even a single session. The interest shown by the faculty is something really overwhelming. I'm really happy that pharmacology is no more the specialty it was in the yesterdays. It is really progressing. Welcome everyone. I wish the speakers all the best. Have a wonderful learning experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. To start with, I will hand over to Dr. Sneha Amrewani, Professor and Head Department of Pharmacology, AIIMS Jodhpur. Ma'am, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, sir. So as we know, we are coming to the end of our very interesting learning exercises and experience. We discussed PG curriculum and communication skills and computer assisted learning during last 3 weeks. Now, today we are going to discuss this OSPI designing, concepting and designing. So we have 2 speakers for today's workshop. First speaker is Dr. Kavita. It's my privilege to introduce her. She is currently working as a professor, Department of Pharmacology at SR Medical College, Chennai. She is graduated from Kilpauk Medical College and post-graduation from Dr. ALM PG IBMS Madras University in 2004. She had worked in a various reputed institutions and presently working as professor at SRMC. She have 15 years of experience in teaching for undergraduates, postgraduates, medical, nursing, and allied health sciences studies in pharmacology. She has been actively involved as a resource person in organizing and coordinating various CME workshop on recent development in pharmacology. She also participated in various conferences as a speaker, panelist, and panel moderator. She has been appointed as an examiner for various institutes. She has been a member of Medical Education Unit Curriculum Committee of the institute, that is KIMS and SMMCH. Currently, she is a member secretary of the Institutional Animal Ethics Committee. She has published more than 18 research papers as corresponding author and co-author in various indexed national as well as international journals. and also has been a member of editorial board in World Journal of Pharmaceutical Science and reviewer of various index journals. She's guided various undergraduates and postgraduates in their research activities and a member of Research Advisory Committee for PhD student at her present institute. So welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Our second speaker, he doesn't need any introduction. It's all his efforts and the hard work that we are having this workshop is none other than Dr. C.M. Kamal. He's presently working as an associate professor and head SMMH Government Medical College, Saharanpur, UP. He's also consultant pediatrician at Al Miraj Hospital, Saharanpur, MP. He's been assistant professor in pharmacology at various institutes, including Sharda University, Greater Noida, SDGR Institute of Medical Sciences, Dehradun. He's also consultant pediatrician and neonatologist at Al Faraz Hospital, New Delhi, Firoz Specialist Hospital, Aligarh, and his clinical research physician, Manipal, Bangalore. He's having more than 12 years of teaching experience and teaching and training pharmacology to medical graduates. There's more than 15 years of experience in pediatric and neonatal practices with general and emergency services in pediatric and neonatology. There's more than 4 years of experience in clinical research. As far as administrative and other academic accomplishments are there, he was former director and founder, Department of Clinical Research, Sharda University, Hospital, Greater Noida, and SMMH Government Medical College, Saharanpur, UP, where he's currently working. He's noted pediatric pharmacologist and author of a book that's Drug Therapy in Pediatrics. He's also represented the country at International Pediatric Pharmacology Symposia, which was held in Shanghai, China. He's also secretary of Institute Ethical Committee at his present institute. He's established and is a pioneer in establishing this skill lab for practice pharmacology in Department of Pharmacology, and the first in the state, according to recent competency-based medical education by NMC. And for that, he has been widely acclaimed and appreciated. His work was appreciated all over the country. So I again welcome Dr. C.M. Kamal. So now I invite our first speaker, Dr. Kavita. And
Thank you, ma'am.
She will be speaking on OSPI concept and designing in pharmacology.
Thank you, ma'am, for your kind introduction. So, good afternoon, one and all present over here. Shall I share my screen, ma'am?
Yes, you can share.
Is my slides visible, ma'am?
Yeah, these are visible. Now we can.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay.
And I would like to thank the organizers for giving this opportunity. And today's topic of discussion is OSPI concepts and design in pharmacology. The learning objective of today's session is to define OSPI and explain the role of OSPI in CDME assessment and brief about the evolution of OSPI and distinguish between OSPI and OSCE, list out the advantages and limitations of this assessment tool, and it enumerates its major components and how to design, plan, organize the conductance of an OSPI in pharmacology. So we all know competency-based education is outcome-based education, and assessment is an important part in the education process, which gives improvement in the learning. And competency-based assessment is not an all or none phenomenon. It is a longitudinal. It includes direct observation. It's a criterion reference and involves active participations of the learners with the feedbacks and the reflections. So feedback stays the main input to improve the quality of learning. So an assessment tool should possess all these characteristics, like should have more valid, and it should have more reliability, objectivity, feasibility, and acceptability. So with an impact on the learning. So to have more valid and have a more high degree of reliability, so multiple competencies need to be assessed multiple times with multiple assessment tools by different examiners, and in different settings. So whenever you plan for an assessment, you have to plan in such a way the assessment should be aligned with the teaching learning methods and learning objectives. And so when you plan for an assessment, you have to undergo these steps. You have to establish the purpose of assessment, you have to identify the objectives to be tested, and to choose the appropriate measuring tool and prepare a blueprint, prepare question and design marking, administer test, award marks, and take decision. So here we are going to discuss about the assessment tool, OSPI and ASCII. So what is an OSCE? OSCE is nothing but objective structured clinical examination. OSPI is objective structured practical examination. So why it's called objective? So examiner uses the agreed checklist for evaluating the students, and it's structured because the students undergo same problem and perform the same task in the same time frame to demonstrate the clinical and practical skills, so which are representative of those faced in the real situation. So these are the various assessment tools that has been used to assess the performance of the candidate. So you can see OSCE is being used to assess the knowledge and skills of the learner. You can list it down the various assessment methods and based on the domain and the level of competency. And you can see here that OSCE is at the level of shows in the Miller's pyramid. So why do we need OSPI or OSCE? So there are some limitations with the conventional examinations. It's more subjective rather than objective. So no standardizations, so no structured questions. And although marking variability should depend only on the student's performance, so this assessment is subjected to patient variability and examiner variability. So patient will act different to the different students in different situations at different time, and examiner's bias can affect the scoring significantly. So here the assessments reflects only the global performance of the students. So it's not based on the individual competencies like the history taking and the communications, attitudes, skills are not observed with this conventional method of examination. It assesses only the final conclusion is only tested here. It assesses not the process. It tests the products, not the process. So there is no systemic feedback with this system of assessment, and its validity is broad-based and it has low reliability. So this has given rise to the development of OSCE, that is objective structured clinical examination, to overcome these deficiencies. So OSCE was designed in 1975 by Ronald Arden. He defines OSCE as an approach to the assessment of clinical competence in which components are assessed in a planned, structured way with attention being paid to the objectivity of the examination. So it is not a test method, it's basically an organization framework, so consisting of multiple stations, the students around which students rotate and which students perform and are assessed on specific tasks. So later on, many different types of test methods can be incorporated within the OSCE format. And in the last 3 decades, it has seen a exponential growth and usage in both undergraduate, postgraduate examinations around the globe. So it's only used for licensure examinations, and it's not only the assessment tool, it's been used as a teaching or feedback tool in formative settings. And it is a multi-dimensional practical clinical skills and used as a tool for assessing clinical competence. So OSCE or OSPI is a multi-station, multi-task assessment process. There can be a clinical task. So here OSCE can assess the clinical task, and OSPI, that is objective structured practical examination, can assess the practical task. So it's a feasible, meaningful, skill enhancing assessment tool, and it is more reliable and more valid. So it has a better coverage than the conventional practical examination, and it is an ideal for integrated curricula. So OSCE is a tool for clinical examinations where predetermined decisions are made on the competencies to be tested, and the checklist incorporating the important available skills are prepared. So what is assessed by OSCE? So you can assess different components of the clinical skills. So it can assess a history taking, it can assess a physical examination, interpretation of the data, management plan, and also the communication and interpersonal skills. So there are some modifications of OSCE has happened later on. So it gives rise to different variants like OSLER, OSCE, and objective structured video examination, objective structured teaching evaluation. So OSPRI and OSCE. So here we'll discuss about the OSCE, that is objective structured practical examination. So it's nothing but it's an extension of OSCE. So it's a method of practical examination for preclinical and paraclinical subjects to test the practical skills. It shares the same characteristic of an OSCE. So how will you differentiate between the OSCE and OSCE? So the OSCE has been intended to assess the higher level of knowledge, cognitive self. So when compared to that of OSCE, which assesses the psychomotor and affective domain, but later on the well-designed OSCE can assess the cognitive skills and also the procedures. So the time can kept 2 to 5 minutes per station. It can be extended to 15 minutes depending upon the competency. So OSCE will be more than 5 minutes per station. So you can can plan for a big hall in OSCE, and in OSCE you should have an isolated small group close to each other. So here the examiner need not be an expert, but the person can be trained with a checklist, can assess the OSCE. So here in OSCE we need expert examiner. So checklists are required to assess both OSCE and OSCE. So we need not to have a standardized patients in OSCE when compared to OSCE. So observers are not required in unobserved stations. So can be required in observed stations when they want to assess the procedures for the any other skills. So these are the few examples for OSCE stations. This can be followed in preclinical and paraclinical subjects. So what are the advantages of OSCE? So it's more objective, it's more valid and more reliable. It tests not only the skills and knowledge, but also the attitudes. It tests the ability, students' ability to integrate the knowledge, clinical skills and communication with the patients can be used on the large number of the students at the same time. It can provide unique programmatic evaluations, less complexity, and it can be used for summative assessment as well as the formative assessment. So this OSCE also has some limitations. It's costly, it's time consuming to construct and administer. It needs more space, and lot of planning and careful organization is needed to conduct OSCE. Training of the examiner and also the supporting staff and the faculty is needed to achieve reliability. Students' knowledge and skills are tested in compartment. So that is a major drawback of the OSCE. So it's not testing as a whole, patient as a whole. And it needs for standardization of the simulated patients and examiners. And there is a high demand for both patients and the examiners, because in some of the observed stations, there is a need of the examiner. And using the same checklist or the grading system, so the examiners may get boring, and also because of the repetitiveness. So well-designed OSCE should have all the quality characteristic what's been described to have an effective assessment. Should have a high degree of validity with careful specification of the content, and it can have a wider sample of activities having multiple stations with a multiple assessing multiple tasks. So can have a more reliability, and each student has to perform the same task, so it's more acceptable. And it involves students' interaction between the examiner, structured interactions between the examiner and the student. And here it has a structured marking schedule. So there is an increase in objectivity, and there's an excellent feedback. That is the important part of the OSCE. It's not only to the student to improve his or her learning, to the teachers also regarding the efficacy of the clinical teaching. So OSCE, how to start? So you have to make an organization framework. So that includes an OSCE team or an administrator or the coordinator, and to identify the physical space and make a map of rooms and order of the stations, and decide what task want to assess. Prepare and match the blueprint with the station design, set a deadlines for development, and collect the drafted stations, have a review, collect the needed materials and label them, hold the examiners meeting periodically, administer OSCE, analyze the results, modify stations if necessary for its next administration. So planning is very, very important for the successful of the conduct of the OSCE. So these are the components of the OSCE. So it should have a OSCE team and the coordinator. So list of skills, behavior, attitudes to be assessed should be there. And you can develop a criteria for scoring the assessment. You can list it down the required materials and the equipments. You can develop examinations, questions, instructions, and can decide there is a need of real patients or simulated patients. You can plan for the examination site, station, and timekeeper is important to instruct the candidate to move from one station to another station, and examiners and the students. So blueprint is a powerful tool. So whenever we want to plan for any assessment, so blueprint is important, and it's a powerful tool that helps the OSCE developers or designers to focus on what they wish to assess and helps to align with the learning outcome. So it allows mapping onto the specific learning outcomes, and it ensures adequate sampling across the subject area and also the various domains. So you have to plan for the stations. So the station is nothing but is a site where the student is assessed on particular ability. So you have to plan for the number of stations. So you have to keep for the assessment, and it can be vary on the number of skills, behaviors, and attitudinal items, and plan for the durations of each stations and length of the stations to be covered, and instructions should be properly clearly stated for the students and assessors. So required materials and the patient simulated assessor, everything should be planned in prior head of the conduct of OSCE. So stations may be a procedural stations to assess the task performance of the learner. Response stations can interpret the data or maybe a problem solving, or you can use the dosage calculations or area reporting, and you can incorporate the rest station in between for the preparation and to take rest for the candidate. And you can have the couplet stations or the double stations or the linked stations where the two competencies objectives can be clubbed together. For an example, so history taking can be the one stations, and the physical examination can be carried out on the same scenario on the next stations. So likewise, we can add on the two competencies in a single stations called as linked stations, and we can plan for some of the critical stations. Usually that is followed in the OSCE examinations. So the students must pass these zones. So you have to plan for the layout, and here you can have you can make a map of circuit. So you can have the unobserved stations, observed stations. So unobserved station is nothing but the response stations, so where there is no need of the examiner, but observed stations may be a procedural stations or the communications stations. There is a need of examiner presence. So how to design an OSCE? So the steps we have to go through while designing the OSCE are, so you have to have a set of clear objectives. You have to identify the practical aspects of the objectives, and you have to select the task. You have to subdivide them into subtasks, and you can assign the scores for each task, subtask, and you can set up the stations, and you can conduct after orienting the students and the examiner. So you can make the notes of the process and review. You can analyze the results and use the same for the student assessment. So successful, careful planning is a key to a successful OSCE. How to design an OSCE in pharmacology. So this is the important part of the session. So you can list it down the competencies of the practical pharmacology that has been recommended by the NMC. You can list it down like this: the various competencies of pharmacology practical topics. So you can make the topics like this, and you can choose so which competency can be assessed using the OSCE. So for an examples, you can, if you're selecting the dosage forms, to identify the dosage form, or you can preparation of ORS and to recognize report area. So this can be used as a response station or an unobserved stations. And if you want to choose the setting up of an IV drip or to demonstrate the various routes of administrations, you can have it as a skill stations. And the communication skills, we have 7 competencies, and you can keep it as a communication skill station. So designing a dose response stations, you can have this as an example. So you can demonstrate the understanding the use of various dosage form, and you can give the questions to identify. You can ask them to mention its advantages or disadvantages, and you can add with this how to demonstrate the use of correct method to the patients, so that it will become a doublet or couplet stations. So you can assess this objective or the competencies with a scoring checklist like this, and you can give the marks according to the importance of the task. Okay. So you can assess the competency using this grading scale also. You can set a criteria the students must get passed out of it, and you can have like this also. So you can add on with the communication skills to this, to assess the knowledge with the learners. So this will you can keep as an example for the linker stations for the couplet station. So designing a skill stations, so you can choose the IB administrations or setting up of an IB trip or IM administration, subcutaneous administrations, etc. And you have to make a plan for this and ensure the necessary items for each stations. And you make a checklist, and you have proper instructions to the candidate and the examiner, and the examiner should observe what the students has been performing. So you can give the mark to the each steps like that. You can add on, you can give the total mark to the student, and you can assess the which steps the many students are making mistakes. So that is the feedback to the teacher. So you can again emphasize that step, importance of the step to be carried out. So similarly, we can have IB station. So communication skill stations, so we can develop the case scenario, and you can assess them using the checklist. So in our college, Sri Ramachandra Medical College, so we used to have we conduct integrated OSPE every year. So integrating the phase 2 subjects, pathology, microbiology, along with pharmacology. So likewise, we used to make a case scenario incorporating other subjects, and we'll ask the questions. So we used to conduct this year on October 8th, and these are the topics being chosen for integrated OSPE. So this is one example I'd like to give to you. So when used correctly, the OSPE or OSCE can be a highly successful instrument to assess the competence in medical education. And summarizing that, so OSPE is an assessment tool based on the principles of objectivity and standardization, so which allows the assessment of the candidate's performance against the standardized scoring schemes by trained assessors. OSPE assesses the performance in a simulated environment that shows how level of Miller's pyramid of assessment, and it is most appropriately used along with other assessment methods in a structured program of assessment. So well-defined OSPE can drive learning and therefore can have a positive educational impact. So these are my reference, and I like to thank organizers, and especially a special thanks to Dr. Dinesh Badiyal sir for the guidance, and also Dr. Sneha ma'am, and also Dr. Kamal for the valuable support and the guidance. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, ma'am. It was a very deliberative and explained each and everything regarding the OSPE. So one thing is very clear from your presentation, that OSPE is an assessment tool and can be used, but before that, you have to conceptualize and design in a proper way so that student can understand. So as we learned from Dr. Badiyal, before assessing, we should teach and the students what we are going to assess. So it's a good design, good conceptualized. This OSPE will be definitely a very good assessment tool in future as far as this competency-based medical education is concerned. So thank you very much, ma'am. Now I invite Dr. Kamal for his presentation. Over to Dr. Kamal.
Am I audible, madam?
Yes, yes, sir, you are audible.
Can you see my screen also?
Yes, sir.
So good afternoon all. So thank you very much on this platform of National Association of Pharmacology and Therapeutics. We have received an overwhelming response for this online CBME program. This is series 2. Last year we have organized series 1, and we shall continue our academic and research activity through this platform. The topic of my talk today is OSPI and OSCE, how we are designing in pharmacology and therapeutics. So the greatest advantage of OSPI is that a student can be assessed in depth in all the relevant aspects of different exercises than usually not possible with the conventional method of practical examination. This differences between OSCE and OSPI has been explained by my learned colleague, Dr. Kavita. I may not be going into the details. So with the help of OSCE and OSPI, we can almost test all the major components: psychomotor, manual, and physical skills, affective domains with the attitude, and the cognitive skills, mental skills, and the knowledge. So the skills and domains that needs to be tested needs to be defined first when we are organizing and planning a successful OSPI and OSCE in our department. So it is requiring more planning, more organization, pre-testing, and manpower, of course, for the assessment part. Again, this have been explained by my colleagues. I'm not going into the details. We must have a clear set of objective before organizing OSPI and OSCE, and we must ensure each and every step should be fulfilled appropriately. These are the various components that have been already explained, that it should be having. It is better if we can have in the department itself by an OSCE and OSPI team, and we can appoint a coordinator. The examination site needs to be identified and an examination circuit to be designed. We need to identify a timekeeper or support staff. Of course, the examiner is there, and students' list of skills, knowledge, behavior, and attitude that needs to be assessed should be checked beforehand, and all the lists in the printed format should be prepared beforehand, before the practical exam. Criteria for scoring the assessment, if it is having a checklist or if it is having a grade list, and we must procure all the required material, furniture that are being used, if it is using mannequins, if it is using devices, equipments, various images, laptop, graph, along with the question of the examination and instructions in details. These are the various competencies in the competency-based medical education. We will be choosing some of these competency. I will be showing with the help of the example how we can design a particular station of organizing an OSPI successfully in the Department of Pharmacology. This is the second list. I will be choosing some competencies from this list also. The highlight of the modern curriculum of the practical pharmacology, as we are aware, these are the certified list of the competencies: generic prescription writing, communications, prescription audit, drug selection, evaluation of drug promotional literature. And it is emphasized to be over here that almost all these competencies can be successfully tested with the help of the OSPI exam. This is the list of the how we are giving the weightage to the various exercises: pharmacology related exercises, then clinical pharmacology exercises, then communication skills, experimental pharmacology, practical record maintenance. So assessment methods can include OSCE and OSPI directly, direct observation as per the National Medical Commissions. These methods are not limited to the above examples. We can choose the multiple methods to improve the authenticity of the assessment. So this is the list of the skills, knowledge and behavior that and attitude that can be assessed with the help of the OSPI, routes of medication administration, intravenous, intramuscular, subcutaneous, intradermal, setting up of an intravenous drip, communication with the patient on explaining prescription, communication with the patient on proper use of device for medications, meter dose inhaler, insulin pen, use of the insulin pen, prescription writing, filling of the adverse drug reaction monitoring form. If we are having image-based questions related to adverse drug reactions, I might be showing an example in coming slides. Drug dosage form, solid, liquid, parenteral and topical, assessment of a medication label, interpretation of a recording graph, effect of medication on ECG, effect of topical medication on eye, prescription audit, as well critical evaluation of the drug promotional literature. So we can see over here that there is a wide range of the activities that are related to practical pharmacology. This is the list of the skills, knowledge and behavior and attitudes that can be successfully tested with the help of OSPI and OSCE in the practical pharmacology in our departments of pharmacology. So as I have already told that an examiner coordinator is the catalyst for all these activity, under whom who needs to ensure that all activity needs to be going in a smoother way. He needs to develop and implement on OSCE and OSCE during the exam. All the team needs to determine the content of the examination material for each station, checklist, assessment scoring marks for each station. So careful planning is the key for the successful implementation of OSPI and OSCE in our department of pharmacology. So these are the steps. Again, some of these steps have been explained by my learned colleague, Dr. Kavita, that we must having a clear set of objectives, and we need to select those objectives that are possible to be assessed by OSCE and OSPI. We need to identify practicals beforehand, the various tasks. We need to divide these tasks into the subtasks, then assigning scoring weightage for each task, total marks, and of course the time required for the task, a particular task to be performed. And if in case skills needs to be assessed with the help of the scoring, with the help of the checklist. At some places, the skills need to be assessed through the grading. We need to set up stations for OSPI and OSCE, and in the coming slide, I will be explaining you how we can design the various stations for OSCE and OSPI exams. So these are the criteria for the scoring of assessment. A mark list or checklist needs to be prepared beforehand, and this must be concise, unambiguous, and written to contribute the reliability of the station. This preparation of the checklist is requiring predetermined objectives criteria that should be agreed upon by the entire OSPI and OSCE examination committee in the leadership of the coordinator. So this is the examination site. A large hall can be taken. When such facilities are not available, the examination may be conducted in an outpatient facility or at any another place where offices are available in close proximity to each other. So in pharmacology practical organizing pharmacology practical exam, we need the three kind of the stations. Procedural station, that is needed to perform a task, say for example intramuscular injection, response station, evaluation of drug promotional literature, and communication skill stations regarding to use of writing a drug after prescription or communication with the medical representative. Of course, we need some rest station after 2 or 3 stations, active stations, or couplet and linker stations are there where 2 stations are uniting the activities together, maybe a response station along with the communication stations. So total number of stations may vary. They may vary. In my opinion, 6 stations are quite good for organizing practicals in Department of Pharmacology and Therapeutics, and it can range the duration of the stations from 3 to 15 minutes, but in my opinion, 5 minutes is the most commonly that is being used already in various departments. That is more appropriate from the point of view of pharmacology practical exams. So coupled and linker stations are there. We need, if we are using simulated and patient or real patient, it needs to be taken care of. If we are using a simulated patient, then we need to communicate detailed instructions package to the particular patient, that what the various symptoms and signs we will be telling to the students while during the OSPI and OSCE. He will be giving the particular set of the answers of the question that have been asked by the students while he is at the station site. Of course, the ring of the bell is important. Timekeeper, time clock and time signal, appropriate personnel for the position of the official timekeeper, and exam facilitates the needs to be identified, and it should be properly instructed. A well-functioning clock along with the time signal are critical. There should be movement in one direction. I will be showing in the coming slides. A contingency plan must be prepared beforehand. That is, includes some reserved standardized patients who are trained to assume a number of roles, and patient trainer who circulates to deal with any problem patient if it is arising, and a number of reserve stations should be also available. So this contingency plan is also be available beforehand, so that a smooth activity after OSCE is organizing in the department. So make a proper blueprint for conducting the OSCE and OSCE in advance, and you need to design and prepare the station well in advance. It would be good if you can print all the stations and checklists in advance, few days before the practical exam. Make a trial run, which is very much necessary, with the help of the colleagues, with the help of the other faculty member or coordination committee, to validate and ensure your plan is going well, or to identify if there are any problem areas. So setting up of a station, construct a blueprint to guide the selection of the task, design and develop a station around that particular task. You need to gather all necessary materials. If you are using mannequins, if you are using syringes, needles, graph, drug promotional literature. Here in our Department of Pharmacology at our medical college, we are using actual drug promotional literature for organizing OSPI at the stations. Sample medications, if are being used, needs to be procured in advance. If they are being used in communication exercises, you need to design the student answer sheet in advance, rating forms, mark sheet, grading sheets used by the examiner and the patient. This is a slide is showing the examination circuit. You can see over here that there are 2 assessors and 2 observers here. The examination should be clearly marked in a logical sequence that is allowing easy and unimpeded transit from one station to the another station. So station 1, station 2, station 3, station 4, see how the entry is being done from the station 1 and how it is smoothly going on in another direction. So from one direction to one direction, it is moving in a single direction. So first station I have shown here as a response station. Again, second is a response station. Then there is a procedure station where the assessor presence is very much needed, because he needs to check according to the list, the various procedures are being done according to the predetermined manner. Station 4 I have taken over here as a rest station. Then station 5 again is a response station. So there are 2 kind of these stations: procedure station and communication station, where a trained assessors needs to be there. Otherwise, for the activity of the response stations, which I will be explaining you in coming slides, can be assessed with the help of the answer sheets later on. And see, you can, from entry and to exits, the students is moving in one direction. So 6 active station I have shown over here, example, 2 along with the 2 rest station, and 6 among the 6 station, 4 are the response station, 1 is the procedure station, and 1 is the communication station. So student briefing is very, very important before you are starting in the exam, because it can orient the students well in advance. If instructions are to be used, or you are using a simulated patient, or you are using a particular person as a medical representative, simulated medical representative, you need to give instruction well in advance. Instruction to the examiner are also very much important, because it may not be possible that all the examiners, external examiners especially, who are coming, since the CBME is a new idea, it is taking up shape in the department, that all the examiners may not be well versed with the idea. So a answer key for the problem needs to be provided along with the marks distribution for various stations. Checklist for the assessment that examiner is using for the assessment of a student's, grading sheet for the assessment. Instructions are being given to the student, they should be given well in advance with the prominent display of roll number, total number of the stations. They needs to be given direct that they needs to proceed in one direction. They needs to tell time allotted for each station. Clear instruction for each station should be printed out in a very good format. And during the entire OSCE and OSCE exam, they need to be told that there is no negative marking and there is no need of interaction with the assessor. So this is the environment of the station which should be conductive for the conduct of the examination successfully. If communication skills is being used, a student can be made to sit in a room that may give him a feeling that he's sitting in a doctor's consultation chamber. If a hall is not available, that can be performed in a corridor area of the departments, because some of the faculty members have told them that there is paucity of the space for conducting of these OSCE and OSCE exam. So here I am giving you example how we are designing a communication skills. I have taken one competency, PH 3.1, write a rational, correct and legible prescriptions for a given condition. I am explaining the later part, communicate the same to the patient. So the second part of this PH 3.1. So how the student is sitting, how he is explaining the drug to a simulated patient who is sitting by the side, diclofenac patient, diclofenac tablet she is prescribing to a simulated patient. This is the communication skill checklist, how she is explaining the relevant pathophysiology, explaining the use of medication, name of the drug, therapeutic effect, adverse effect, or whether she is ensuring that therapeutic adherence by the patients. Then I am choosing here PH 3.6, demonstrate to optimize interaction with the pharmaceutical representative to get an authentic information on the drugs. See, this is the simulated medical representative and student during the exam. So here is the designing of the skill station. I had chosen PH 4.1, administer drug through various routes in a simulated environment using mannequins. So all the material that needs to be there in a skill station, especially related to psychomotor exercise, because it is very cumbersome to design a particular station being used for the psychomotor exercise. Say for example, intramuscular injections. You can see we have arranged over here all the kind of the syringes. A student will be choosing a particular size of the syringes, a diclofenac injection is there along with the checklist. A hand wash is available, and disposable of the needle and syringe. There is a container separate. We are having the gloves. So all these materials needs to be procured and needs to be arranged well in advance. So this is the video of students, how he is performing the particular skills, and you can see the assessor. So he is cleaning the hand first with the first exercise, and assessor is noting it down in the checklist that he is using, whether he or she has performed a particular task. When he is opening the syringe, he is choosing the medication, he is choosing, looking at the expiry rate. Then he is breaking up the ampule. He is taking the medication from the ampule, filling up in the syringe. So assessor is by the side of the patient, and you can see very well in advance that though there is no interaction between the student and the assessor, assessor is quite vigilant, and he is inspecting each and every step, and he is noting it down in the mark sheet that is provided to him beforehand. He is using that checklist, and he is, according to the checklist, he is picking whether a particular student have performed all the kind of the task in a sequence manner, whether he or she has able. See how he is choosing the injection site, cleaning the injection site with the help of the alcohol swab. Then he is picking up the medication. He is making a 90-degree angle for intramuscular injection, and slowly he is injecting. So you can very well see that during the entire process, the assessor, who is quite vigilant, he is not interacting at all with the student, and all what he is doing, he is making noting it down in the checklist whether the student is performing all the steps in advance. This is the checklist, scoring checklist we are using in Department of Pharmacology in our medical college for checking checklist for the intramuscular injection. If we are not using the checklist, then we can of course use the grading sheet, assessment for the grading, then designing a response station. You can see that the student is analyzing a drug promotional literature, and this drug promotional literature is the actual DPL that are being given by the medical representative that we have collected from our OPDs. Effect of topical drugs on the human eyes, effect of various drugs on the human ECGs. We have taken the ECG strips from Department of Medicine. So we are showing them the effect of the medication or ECG. This is the ADR exercise, adverse drug reactions. So here what the student is doing, we have shown here the adverse effect of the drug, and we have shown the drugs, actual drugs over here. So he needs to match that whether this Redman syndrome is being connected with the vancomycins, hyperplasia of the gums with the help of with the phenytoin, and chloramphenicol is producing gray baby syndrome. You can see here how students is performing this exercise. He is using, we have given the exercise on a laptop, Of course, I feel laptop are quite easily available in all the departments. And this is also giving us some idea about how we are using CAL, computer assisted learning, and use of computer during the exams. We have shown here the images because in the sheets which we have provided, the images are black and white. So colored images are being seen on the laptop. Then he's with the help of this sheet, he is matching the adverse drug reactions, phocomelia with the thalidomide and all. This is the again a response station where dosage calculation exercise have been given to the students. DNS have been given to a patient who is suffering with the appendicitis, who needs to be put on the maintenance fluid therapy, and a student needs to decide and needs to calculate the drip rate and the flow rate. In our department, we are giving a lot of thrust, a lot of emphasis on the various devices of routes of medication administration. So our all students needs to be well versed with each and every device that needs to be used for medication administration, whether it is a drip set, whether it is a syringe. They must be aware of in detail the various parts of the drip sets, syringes, needles, nebulizers, meter dose inhaler. Here she is doing an exercise where nebulizer, she is making a diagram like in anatomy department we are doing. So it is giving an exercise, and she is very much taking interest in designing a nebulizer. Is keeping beforehand, she is designing, she is making a diagram, and it is a label diagram. Prescription audit we have given to this student. You can see we have given him a red pen, and he is correcting this prescription with the red pen, and it is actually giving how he is making a prescription audit, and in that sense a response station of the prescription audit can be performed. This is the response station related to the drug label and dosage form, and pharmacological assessment of the drug label can be done under these headings which we are using in our department: trade name, generic name, indication, quantity. There are 15 serial number headings under which he needs to assess the particular label. It is giving students right from the beginning, from the Department of Pharmacology, so that for whole of their life, they make it a habit that before administering each and every drug, they need to see the drug label, because I have seen that there are various kind of mistakes which can be performed by the clinicians if they are not reading the drug label carefully. I can recall one of my colleagues have made me a phone call that she has given MMR vaccination to a pregnant lady, and I have shown her. She was quite surprised that that MMR injection, on the label itself, it have been written that particular injection cannot be given to a pregnant woman. She felt quite sorry on that, because we are not inculcating the habit of giving them the habit of reading the labels properly. So point for successful implementation of the OSCE and OSPI: steps in sequence, break into small steps, outcome independence of the previous steps. You can give marks distribution according to the important steps. Preparation of the question sheet, laminated suggested font size is 24. Calibri or Arial can be used. Preparation of the answer sheet separately. Arrange question in sequence. Instructions to the patient should be given in advance, as well as to the assessors. If you are using key, you need to give these key to assessors. Appoint a timekeeper. And it is very, very important that you can run a test run, and you can validate all the things which can be all your PG students, demonstrator, junior teachers can participate in this test run. And of course, it is key that you are open to all the kinds of the suggestions. So coming to the summary, designing and organizing OSPI and OSCE is a teamwork. And OSPI and OSCE coordination committee, if you are already formulating, it can ease the entire process. All the material needed for each station should be procured beforehand, well, a few days before the exams. Designing a station with tasks that is possible in realistic way within the time frame that is available for a particular station. Validation by test run, PG students, demonstrators, junior staff is necessary to overcome the challenges in successful implementation of OSCE and OSCE. Briefing to the students and briefing to the examiner for the entire process before you are starting the OSCE in practical exam is necessary. These are the few of the acknowledgements. I'm very much thankful to all those colleagues who have helped me in preparing the slides and preparing this material. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Kamal. It was a very informative and very nice presentation. You have explained each and everything regarding this, how to prepare an OSCE. So again, it's a very exhaustive task to take or to start with OSCE. So it's not, it's a very, in coming time, I think OSCE might be a useful tool for assessment in a pharmacology subject also. But before implementation, as you said, it requires proper planning and teamwork is required. We should conceptualize in a proper way, and everything should be validated before it is come to the students. And before taking, students should be well acquainted how they are going to assess, right? So proper briefing and this clear instruction should be given before this when we are planning any OSCE for assessment. So nice presentation. Again, thank you very much for both the speakers. Before I end the session and open for questions, again, thank you, Dr. Kamal, for his efforts for this workshop. And I hope in near future, we also have more workshops regarding our near this curriculum and as per our guideline with NMC, more and more workshop will come in near future also. So thank you, Dr.